The sun was sinking low behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The forest was quiet except for the soft rustle of leaves and the distant sound of night birds. A young boy, no older than 10, walked carefully along a narrow dirt path. His small hands clutched a piece of bread wrapped in cloth. It was the only food he had saved from the morning, and he planned to eat it slowly once he reached home. The boy's name was Eric. He was poor, living in a small wooden hut with his grandmother on the edge of the village. Life was hard. Every crumb of bread mattered. Every bite meant strength for another day. He guarded the bread in his hand like a treasure, walking quickly before darkness could swallow the path. But that evening, something strange waited for him. First, he felt it before he saw it. The ground shook lightly beneath his feet. The air carried a low, deep sound, like a growl, but weak, broken, almost painful. Eric froze in his steps. His heart beat faster. He turned his head, eyes searching the trees, but the forest looked empty. Shadows stretched between the trunks, long and silent. Then it came again, a deep rumble, mixed with a hiss of breath. It was close, very close. Eric's mouth went dry. Every story told by the elders about monsters in the woods flooded his mind. He wanted to run, but his legs felt heavy. Slowly, he stepped back, clutching his bread tighter. From behind a cluster of rocks, something moved. At first, Eric thought it was the shadow of a fallen tree. But then he saw it shift, crawl, and drag itself forward. A massive shape emerged from the dark. His eyes widened. His chest tightened. It was a dragon, not like the ones in fairy tales, shining with scales and fire. This dragon was thin, weak, and broken. Its bones pressed against its gray, torn skin. Its wings were ragged, one nearly torn in half. Its claws scratched the ground as it crawled, too weak to stand tall. Eric's breath caught in his throat. A real alien dragon. He had never seen one with his own eyes, only heard rumors whispered by travelers, that far beyond the stars, creatures like gods roamed the skies, some cruel, some noble, some deadly. But this one looked like it had been defeated by life itself. The dragon lifted its head slowly. Its eyes glowed faintly in the fading light, large, golden, but dim with hunger and pain. His jaw opened and a sound escaped. Not a roar, not a scream. Words. Food, the creature whispered, its voice broken, carried on a breath that sounded like fire dying out. Please, food. Eric's heart skipped. His mind screamed at him to run, to leave the bread and flee, but his feet did not move. He stared at the beast, unable to believe what he was hearing. A dragon begging. The dragon's body shook as it lowered its head to the ground. Dust rose around its snout. Its voice came again, weak and fragile. Food, child, bread. Eric felt every hair on his neck rise. He clutched his bread tighter, holding it close to his chest. This creature could swallow him whole in a second. Even in its weak state, one snap of its jaws could end him. And yet it was not threatening him. It was pleading. He took one shaky step backward. The dragon noticed and groaned, dragging itself a little closer. Its body moved slowly, painfully, as if every bone wanted to break. Eric wanted to run. He wanted to scream, but something in the dragon's eyes stopped him. They were not the eyes of a monster. They were not filled with fire or rage. They were filled with something he had never expected, sorrow. The boy's hand shook as he looked at the bread. Just a small piece, barely enough for him. If he gave it away, his stomach would stay empty tonight. His grandmother would worry. His body would grow weaker. But the dragon was worse. Its ribs showed like the bars of a cage. The skin hung loose. It looked like it had not eaten in many days. Maybe weeks. Eric swallowed hard. His thoughts battled inside his head. If I give it food, maybe it will spare me. If I keep it, maybe it will attack me. What if it dies here? What if I could save it? The silence of the forest pressed around him. The dragon coughed, a sound like thunder breaking in the distance, and its golden eyes dimmed even more. The boy took a deep breath. His knees trembled, but he stepped closer. Just one step. The dragon watched him carefully. It did not move. It simply waited, its body too weak for anything else. Eric raised the bread slowly. His hand shook as he stretched it forward. The dragon lowered its head further, until its snout was close enough to touch the ground before the boy's feet. It opened its mouth, revealing sharp teeth, but instead of snapping, it paused. It waited. The boy's heart pounded so loudly he thought it would burst. Carefully, he broke the bread into 2 pieces. He placed one half on the ground and stepped back quickly. The dragon leaned forward. Its massive tongue stretched out, pulling the bread into its mouth. It chewed slowly, painfully, as if even eating hurt. Then, for the first time, its golden eyes brightened a little. It looked at the boy again, and then, in that same broken voice, it whispered, "Thank you." Eric's eyes widened. His fear was still there, but something else grew inside him, curiosity. This was not the monster from the stories. This was something different, something strange, something that needed him. The boy stood frozen, wondering what would happen next. The dragon licked the last crumb from the ground, then spoke again, voice trembling with weakness. "More, please." The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Night was falling. The boy had no more food to spare. Yet, standing there, face to face with the creature, he felt the beginning of something he could not explain. A bond, a story about to unfold, one that would change both of their lives forever. But at that moment he did not know. All he knew was that he, a small boy with nothing, was being begged by a dying alien dragon for bread. And somewhere deep inside, he wondered, why me? The forest grew darker as the last light of the sun slipped behind the hills. The air turned cold, and the shadows around the trees stretched longer, almost alive. The boy, Eric, stood frozen in front of the massive creature, his hands trembling at his sides. He could still hear the dragon's voice in his head. That weak, broken whisper, "Food, please." No one in the village would believe this. Dragons were supposed to be monsters, destroyers, creatures that breathed fire and crushed humans under their claws. But this one was lying in the dirt, begging a child for bread. Eric's legs felt heavy. Part of him wanted to run home, slam the door, and hide under the bed. Another part wanted to stay, to look closer, to understand why this mighty beast was begging. The dragon raised its head again, though slowly, with visible pain. Its golden eyes fixed on the boy. They were not wild, not full of rage, but empty and tired, like the eyes of someone who had lost everything. Eric's heart pounded in his chest. He whispered to himself, Should I help it again? Or will it eat me?" The dragon moved its mouth, and its voice came out like the wind through broken glass. "Child, not enemy. Hungry. Dying." Eric stepped back, clutching the last half of bread he still held. He thought about his grandmother waiting at home. He thought about his own stomach already empty. His throat tightened. The creature dragged itself closer, its body scraping the earth. It was slow, weak, yet terrifying in its size. Its claws dug into the dirt, but it made no move to strike. It only came forward to close the distance, as if afraid the boy would leave. Eric wanted to scream, but the sound stuck in his throat. His legs trembled, but he didn't run. Instead, he asked softly, almost whispering, Why are you here? What do you want from me?" The dragon lowered its head again, its jaw almost touching the ground. "Food, not harm. I beg." Eric blinked. His hands shook as he looked at the bread. His mind battled with fear and pity. He remembered his grandmother's warning. Never trust the forest. Never trust what speaks in the dark. But this did not feel like a trick. The dragon looked too broken, too weak. Its voice was too heavy with sorrow. Still, Eric was just a child. Fear wrapped around his heart like a chain. He wondered if he should drop the bread and run. He wondered if the dragon would chase him. The creature coughed, and a low, rattling sound filled the night. Dust rose around its snout as it shivered. For a moment, its body collapsed into the dirt as if it might never rise again. Eric's chest ached. He wanted to look away, but his eyes stayed locked on the creature. The boy whispered to himself again. It's only a little bread. Just a little. Maybe it won't hurt me. His small fingers tore another piece from the bread. He stretched his hand forward with great caution. His arm trembled so much he thought he would drop it. The dragon's head lowered, its eyes watching him with strange patience. Slowly, carefully, it reached out and took the bread with the tip of its tongue. Eric jumped back in fear, almost falling. But the dragon did not chase him. It chewed weakly, swallowed, and gave a low hum that almost sounded like relief. "Good child," it whispered, its voice softer this time. Eric's breath came fast. He could not believe what he was doing. Feeding an alien dragon in the forest? Was this bravery or madness? He stared at the half-eaten bread in his hands. Only a little was left now. If he gave it all away, he would sleep hungry tonight. But the dragon might not live until morning. His stomach growled. His fear battled his pity. He looked at the creature again. Its ribs pushed through its skin like sharp stones. Its wings were torn and useless. Its golden eyes, though dim, held something he had never seen before in any animal. Something almost human. Eric swallowed hard and whispered, You can talk. But why? Why are you begging me?" The dragon let out a long, slow breath that shook the grass around it. "Because no one else. Hunters chased me. Hide. I starve." The boy's eyes widened. Hunters? Who hunted something this big? Who could? The dragon coughed again, its body trembling. It lowered its head completely to the dirt, almost bowing before the child. "Child, bread, please." Eric felt his heart twist. He looked at the last piece in his hand. His own hunger screamed inside him, but the dragon's suffering was louder. Finally, with a deep breath, he stepped forward again and placed the final piece on the ground. He jumped back quickly, his chest pounding. The dragon took the bread, slower this time, as if savoring it. After swallowing, it raised its head slightly. Its voice came again, still weak but carrying a strange weight. "You are kind." The boy blinked, unsure what to say. His fear had not left him, but something else grew inside. Curiosity, even a spark of courage. Will you eat me now?" Eric asked, his voice shaking. The dragon blinked slowly, as though the question itself was strange. Then it lowered its head once more and whispered, "No. You save me." Eric's chest tightened. He could not believe it. This massive alien dragon, with claws like swords and teeth like daggers, was not his enemy. At least not now. But deep inside, another feeling stirred. Suspicion. Why was it here? Why was it begging him? Why did it look so broken, so defeated? The boy knew one thing for certain. This was no ordinary night, and this was no ordinary creature. Something bigger was happening. Something he could not yet see. He stood there, staring at the dragon, as the forest around them grew darker and the stars above began to shine. The night was only beginning, and so was their story. The forest was now wrapped in darkness. Only the silver light of the moon slipped through the branches, casting long shadows on the ground. The boy, Eric, stood just a few steps away from the massive alien dragon, his hands empty now. The bread was gone. His stomach was empty. Yet strangely, he did not feel regret. Instead, he felt something new, something he could not explain. The dragon lay on the dirt, breathing heavily. Each breath sounded like the wind pushing through a broken cave. Its wings twitched, but they were too weak to lift. Its golden eyes glowed faintly as they stared at the boy. "You help?" the creature whispered. Eric shivered. He had never imagined that a beast like this could speak in words he understood. He rubbed his arms nervously, trying to keep warm. "Why are you here?" Eric asked softly. "Why me?" The dragon blinked slowly. For a long moment, it stayed silent, as though gathering strength. Finally, in a voice like stones grinding together, it answered, "War. Lost. Alone." The boy frowned. He didn't understand everything, but the words struck him. War? Lost? Alone? The dragon coughed, and a shiver ran through its body. Dust rose around it, and for a moment, Eric thought it might collapse and die right there. His small fists tightened. I don't have more food, he said. That was all I had. The dragon lowered its head, eyes dim. I know, it whispered. You give enough. You give hope. Eric's heart skipped. Hope. That was a word he did not expect from the mouth of a dragon. Silence wrapped the forest. Only the distant sound of crickets filled the air. Eric shifted his feet, unsure what to do. Should he leave? Should he run home before his grandmother worried? Or should he stay with the creature? The dragon spoke again, its voice trembling. Child name? The boy blinked. My name. The dragon gave a weak nod. Eric, he said. His voice cracked, but he stood a little straighter. The dragon's golden eyes seemed to brighten just a little. Eric? It repeated, slow and heavy, like the word itself was sacred. I am Kale. Eric's mouth fell open slightly. The dragon had a name. Not just creature. Not just monster. Kale. Sounded powerful, yet soft. Kale, Eric whispered back. The name felt strange on his tongue, but not frightening. For the first time, Eric stepped closer on purpose. His fear still burned inside him, but curiosity pulled him forward. He wanted to understand. He wanted to know what had brought this great creature to such a broken state. Kale, he said. What happened to you? The dragon closed its eyes for a moment, as though remembering something painful. Its claws dug weakly into the dirt. My kind war beasts, it said slowly. We fight. We destroy. I refused. I protected innocence. They betrayed me. Eric's heart raced. His young mind tried to understand. This creature was hunted not because it was a monster, but because it had chosen not to be one. They tried to kill you? Eric asked. The dragon gave a weak nod. Yes, hunted, starved, left to die. The boy swallowed hard. His fear was fading, replaced by something else. Pity, and strangely, respect. This dragon was not what the stories said. It was not just a beast. It was something more. You're not like the others, Eric whispered. Kale's golden eyes locked on him. No, different. And you, different too. The boy frowned. Me? Yes, the dragon said, its voice softer now. A child with nothing still gives bread. That rare, that brave. Eric's cheeks warmed. He had never thought of himself as brave. He was just a poor boy with a piece of bread. But hearing those words from a dragon made his chest feel strange, almost proud. For a while, neither spoke. The forest was quiet. The boy sat down on a rock nearby, still keeping a safe distance but no longer ready to run. The dragon watched him, its breathing slow and heavy. Eric picked at the cloth that had once held his bread. His stomach growled, but he ignored it. His mind was too full of questions. Kale, he asked finally, why do you speak like us? Like humans? The dragon gave a low hum. We learn. Long ago, my kind studied humans, copied voices, words, but few used them. I choose words, not fire. Eric's eyes widened. He thought of all the tales the villagers told. Dragons burning villages, eating cattle, devouring men. Yet here was one who chose words instead. The boy leaned forward slightly. So what will you do now? The dragon's wings twitched. His eyes dimmed again. Hide, heal, or die. But not yet. Eric's chest tightened. He didn't want Kale to die. Not like this. You can't stay here, he said suddenly. The villagers, the hunters. If they find you, they'll kill you. Kale gave a slow nod. Yes, danger. The boy looked around nervously, as if expecting someone to appear from the shadows. For the first time, he realized how exposed they both were. Then I'll help you, he whispered before he could stop himself. The dragon blinked. Its golden eyes glowed faintly brighter. You help me? Eric hesitated. His hands clenched. He was just a boy, small and weak. What could he do for a creature this size? And yet, he had already done something no one else had, He had given Kale hope. Yes, Eric said firmly, though his voice shook. I'll help you. The dragon gave a sound. A low rumble that was not a growl, but something closer to gratitude. Then we are bound, it whispered. Eric tilted his head. Bound? Yes, you gave life. I give trust. You are my human. The boy's heart jumped. His human? The thought was both frightening and thrilling. That night, under the pale moonlight, an unlikely bond was born between a starving alien dragon and a poor human child. Eric did not yet know where this path would lead. He did not know about the dangers that lurked beyond the trees, the hunters who searched for Kale, or the trials that would test his courage. But he knew one thing. He was no longer alone, and neither was the dragon. Their story had only just begun. The forest was silent, except for the sound of the dragon's heavy breathing. Eric sat on the rock, staring at the creature, his young mind full of questions. The night air was cool, but sweat clung to his palms. He still couldn't believe what was happening. He had fed a dragon. Not just any dragon, an alien dragon that could speak. And now it had trusted him with its name, Kale. But something deeper pressed against Eric's heart. The dragon had said one word that burned in his mind. War. He leaned forward carefully, his voice low. Kale, you said war. What war? What happened to you? Kale's golden eyes dimmed. For a long moment, the dragon did not answer. Its claws scratched weakly at the dirt, as though digging through memories too heavy to lift. Finally, its voice came, slow and rough. My kind born for war, raised for blood. Eric's breath caught. He leaned closer, though his body trembled. Kale's gaze shifted to the stars above. His voice grew stronger as he spoke, as if the memories themselves gave him fuel. Long ago, my world was fire, skies filled with wings. Dragons clashed above cities, tearing them apart. Humans, aliens, all fell before our power. We were weapons, slaves to warlords. Our purpose, destroy. Eric's eyes widened. He imagined skies filled with massive dragons, each larger than houses, burning everything below. His small hands clenched tightly. But you, Eric whispered, you're not like them, are you? Kale's head lowered. No, I was different. I refused. The boy's heart pounded faster. He wanted to hear more. Why? The dragon's eyes closed. His body trembled, as though the memory itself pained him more than hunger. I was ordered to burn a village. Children, small like you. They screamed, they ran. Could not. I turned away. I spared them. Eric's chest tightened. He imagined those children, like him, running from fire, saved only because one dragon said no. What happened then? Eric asked, his voice sharp with curiosity. Kale's breath turned into a low growl. Not of anger at the boy, but of old pain. My kind called me traitor, said I was weak, said I was broken. They attacked me, my wings torn, my flesh ripped. I fought, but I was outnumbered. They left me bleeding. They left me to starve. The boy's stomach twisted. He stared at the creature, seeing the scars across its body in the pale light, the broken wing, the ribs that showed through skin, the deep cracks across its scales. They weren't just from time, they were from battle. They betrayed you, Eric whispered. Kale's golden eyes flickered open, burning faintly in the dark. Yes, my own kind, because I chose mercy. The words cut into Eric's heart. Mercy. That single choice had made this mighty creature an outcast. Did anyone stand with you? Eric asked. Kale shook his massive head slowly. No. Alone. Always alone. The forest around them seemed to press closer. Even the crickets had gone quiet, as though listening. Eric swallowed hard. He could feel fear crawling at the edges of his mind, but something else was stronger. Pity, and a strange kind of respect. This was no monster. This was a warrior who had chosen kindness and paid the price. The boy shifted on the rock. Kale, if you refuse to fight, if you chose to protect, then you're not a monster. You're not like the stories. Kale's golden eyes softened, almost glowing with warmth. You see truth. the dragon whispered. But others will not. Hunters will come. They want me dead. Eric's breath caught. Hunters? He remembered the dragon's earlier words. Hunters chased me. Who are they? The boy asked. Kale lifted his head slightly. His claws dug deeper into the dirt. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. Men with steel. Men with fire. They hunt me because they fear me. Because they know I chose to disobey. They call me traitor. They will not stop until I am gone. Eric's small hands tightened into fists. He looked into the darkness of the forest, half expecting glowing eyes or footsteps at any moment. They'll find you here, he whispered. Yes, Kale said simply. Soon. Eric's heart raced. The thought of armored hunters with weapons searching for Kale sent shivers down his spine. What chance did they have if they found them? He was only a boy. Kale was broken and weak. Yet when he looked back at the dragon, something inside him refused to give up. He remembered the way Kale had begged, the way he had whispered thank you. Eric shook his head. No, I won't let them kill you. The dragon blinked, surprised. You protect me? The boy stood up from the rock, his small figure trembling but firm. You protected children once. Now I'll protect you. Kale's chest rumbled with a sound that was not a growl, but something like a deep sigh. You are brave, Eric. The boy stepped closer, almost within arm's reach of the dragon's massive head. For the first time, he did not feel only fear. He felt trust. Kale, he said softly, you're not alone anymore. The dragon's golden eyes glowed brighter for a moment, like a dying fire sparked back to life. Silence fell again, but it was no longer empty. It was filled with the weight of truth. Eric now knew Kale's past. He knew the pain, the betrayal, and the mercy that had changed everything. But he also knew something else. Kale's enemies were out there, and they were coming. The boy now understands Kale's secret. But danger is close. The hunters who betrayed the dragon are not far. What choice will Eric make when they arrive? To find out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The forest was no longer silent. Far away, but growing closer, came the sound of footsteps. Heavy, measured, more than one. The crunch of boots on dry leaves echoed between the trees, and faint glows of strange lights flickered in the distance. Eric froze. His heart thudded in his chest. He turned toward Kale, the dragon, who lifted his head with sudden alertness. The golden eyes, tired a moment ago, now burned faintly brighter. They come, Kale whispered. His deep voice trembled with both weakness and certainty. Eric's stomach tightened. The hunters. Yes, Kale said. They follow my scent. They follow my blood. The boy's breath came fast. He could see it now. Lights moving between the trees. Torches, maybe, or strange alien lanterns. He could hear voices, muffled but sharp, men speaking to each other in rough tones. They're close, Eric whispered. Kale lowered his head to the dirt, his great body trembling. Go, child. Run. They will not chase you. Save yourself. Eric's legs shook. Every part of him wanted to run, to hide, to escape into the safety of his village. But his eyes locked on the dragon lying helpless before him, the creature who had once refused to kill children, the creature who now begged only for life. His heart ached. Could he really leave Kale to die? No, Eric said suddenly, his voice sharp. I won't run. The dragon's golden eyes widened faintly. Foolish, brave boy. The lights grew brighter, the voices clearer. Eric ducked behind a tree, pulling his cloak tight around him. From the shadows, he watched as shapes appeared between the trees. Men in dark armor, carrying strange weapons. Some looked like long spears glowing with energy, others like crossbows humming with fire. There were 5 of them. Their faces were hidden behind masks, their eyes glowing faintly blue through the darkness. They moved like hunters, silent and careful, but their weapons were ready. Eric's breath caught. He pressed himself against the tree, peeking out just enough to see them. One of the men raised a hand, signaling the others to stop. He pointed to the ground. Even from a distance, Eric could see it. large claw marks in the dirt, leading straight to Kale. The hunters moved forward, slow and deadly. Eric rushed back to Kale's side. "They've found your trail," he whispered. Kale's chest rose and fell heavily. "Then this is my end." "No," Eric said sharply. His small fists clenched. "I won't let them." The dragon looked at him with eyes filled with sorrow. "Child, you are only human. They are killers. You cannot stop them." Eric shook his head. "Maybe I can't fight them, but I can help you. I can hide you. Please, trust me." Kale blinked slowly, his eyes glowing faintly. Finally, he gave a weak nod. Eric's mind raced. The hunters were getting closer, their voices louder now. He grabbed Kale's broken wing and tugged gently. "Come on, you have to move. Just a little further." The dragon groaned, his body shivering with pain. Each movement sounded like rocks grinding together. But with great effort, Kale dragged himself forward. His claws tore lines in the dirt as he crawled, following the boy into deeper shadows. The hunters were almost there. Their lights pierced the trees, sweeping across the ground. One beam came dangerously close to the rock where Eric had been sitting. "Quick!" Eric whispered desperately. "Behind those bushes." Kale dragged himself into the thick brush, his massive body barely fitting. Branches snapped, leaves rustled, and Eric held his breath. The hunters stopped nearby. One of them knelt, touching the dirt. His muffled voice came through the mask. "Fresh." He was here. Very close. Another pointed toward the broken branches. "He's hiding. Surround the area." Eric's chest tightened. He looked up at Kale, who was barely able to breathe quietly. The dragon's golden eyes flickered with both pain and warning. "Go," Kale whispered again. "They will kill you too." But Eric shook his head fiercely. "I said I won't leave you." The hunters began to spread out. One moved dangerously close to the bushes. The glow of his weapon lit the leaves in front of Eric's face. The boy's entire body froze. The hunter pushed aside branches, stepping forward. For a terrifying second, Eric thought it was over. The man's glowing mask turned directly toward him. Then, in the distance, an owl screeched. The hunter jerked his head in that direction. He muttered something and turned away, moving back toward the others. Eric let out a shaky breath, his hands trembling. He glanced at Kale, who gave him a faint nod. "They will not stop," Kale whispered. "They will search until they find me." Eric's eyes burned. His small voice shook, but he spoke firmly. "Then we'll stay ahead of them. I'll lead you out. I'll find a way." The dragon stared at him for a long moment, as though trying to understand this strange human child. Finally, he whispered, "Why? Why risk your life for me?" Eric swallowed hard. His voice cracked, but his words were steady. "Because you spared children once. You spared lives. Now it's my turn to spare yours." Kale's golden eyes glowed brighter, filled with something that almost looked like pride. The hunters regrouped. One raised his weapon and shouted, "Spread out wider. The beast is wounded. It cannot go far." Eric's heart pounded. He knew they had only moments. He tugged at Kale's claw desperately. "We have to move now." The dragon groaned, his body scraping the earth. But he followed. Slowly, painfully, he crawled after the boy into deeper forest shadows. Behind them, the hunters' lights cut through the trees like knives. Voices grew sharper. Weapons hummed with power. Every step was a gamble. Every movement could be the one that gave them away. But still, the boy did not stop. He led the mighty, broken dragon through the night, his small figure guiding a creature once feared across worlds. And all the while, the choice weighed heavy on him. Run home to safety or stay with Kale and face death. But in his heart, Eric knew he had already chosen. He would not leave. Not now. Not ever. The forest was alive with danger. Strange blue lights flashed between the trees as the hunters spread out, their weapons glowing in the night. Their heavy boots crushed leaves and twigs underfoot. Their voices barked commands in a language Eric could barely understand. Kale, the great dragon, lay weak in the shadows. His once proud wings dragged uselessly behind him. His body trembled with every breath. Yet his golden eyes followed the hunters, unblinking, calm in their fury. Beside him, Eric's small hands shook, but his heart was steady. He knew the hunters would not rest until Kale was dead. The boy pressed close to the dragon's scales. "We can't hide anymore," he whispered. "They're too close." Kale gave a slow nod. "Then this is the end." But Eric's eyes burned with fire. Not the end. Not yet. The voices of the hunters grew louder. They were closing in, moving in a circle, tightening the trap. A beam of blue light swept across the ground, stopping just a few steps from where Eric and Kale hid. The boy's chest rose and fell quickly. He looked up at the dragon. "If they take you, they'll kill you. I won't let them." Kale tilted his massive head, studying the child. His voice came as a whisper of thunder. "Little one, you are braver than warriors twice your age, but you cannot fight them." Eric swallowed hard. "Then I'll stand in front of you. They'll have to go through me first." For a moment, Kale was silent. Then, with something almost like a smile in his golden eyes, he whispered, "So be it." The hunters appear. Suddenly, the bushes burst apart. The hunters stepped into the clearing, their weapons aimed, their glowing masks shining with cold light. "There it is," one of them shouted. "The beast is cornered." 5 weapons lit up, humming with deadly power. Their blue glow painted the dragon's broken body. Eric's heart thundered in his chest, but he stepped forward anyway. His small figure stood between the dragon and the hunters, his arms outstretched. "No!" Eric shouted, his voice trembling but loud. "You can't have him." The hunters froze. For a second, silence filled the clearing. Then one of them laughed, a cruel metallic sound. "A child?" he sneered. "Move aside, boy, or you will share the beast's fate." Eric's fists clenched. His voice shook, but he didn't move. "You'll have to kill me first." The hunters raised their weapons higher. Blue sparks hissed in the air. The night was moments away from exploding into violence. Behind him, Kale's body trembled. The dragon lowered his head, staring at the boy's back. Something in his golden eyes flickered. Hope, pride, and a fire that refused to die. The last burst of strength. As the hunters prepared to fire, the ground suddenly shook. Kale's wings, broken though they were, spread wide in defiance. His golden eyes blazed brighter than fire. A roar tore from his throat, a sound of rage, pain, and ancient power. The hunters staggered back, their weapons shaking. The very trees shivered at the sound. With the last of his strength, Kale surged forward. His claws slammed into the earth, cracking the ground. His massive tail whipped through the air, striking 2 hunters and sending them crashing into the trees. The forest exploded with chaos. The hunters shouted in panic. Energy bolts hissed through the night, striking dirt and bark. Kale twisted his body, shielding Eric from the deadly blasts. His scales burned, his body trembled, but he did not fall. Eric stumbled backward, eyes wide. He had never seen such power, not even in stories. The dragon roared again, sweeping his tail and scattering the hunters like leaves. One by one, they fell back, their glowing masks cracked, their weapons sparking. But the cost was heavy. Kale's body shook violently. Blood darkened his scales. His breathing came harsh and ragged. He had given everything. The final moment. The hunters, broken and afraid, fled into the forest. Their voices faded into the distance. The night grew silent once more. Eric ran to Kale's side. "You did it. You saved us." But Kale's massive body collapsed onto the ground. His chest rose and fell slowly, each breath weaker than the last. "No," Eric whispered, dropping to his knees. "Don't leave me, please." The dragon lowered his head until his golden eyes met the boy's. There was no fear there, only peace. "Human child," Kale whispered. His deep voice was soft now, like wind through leaves. "You gave me bread when I had nothing. You gave me courage when I had lost all hope. You gave me a reason to fight again." Eric's eyes filled with tears. I didn't do anything. You're the brave one. Kale's great eye closed halfway, glowing faintly. No. You reminded me what it means to live. His breath grew weaker. His body stilled. For a terrible moment, the forest was silent. Kale? Eric whispered. He shook the dragon's scales gently. Please, wake up, please. And then, Kale's golden eye opened again, faint but burning with fire. I will not fall, not yet, the dragon growled. As long as you need me, I will rise again. With one final effort, Kale lifted his head high, roaring into the night. The sound shook the forest, echoing for miles. The cliffhanger. Eric stared in awe, his fear gone, replaced with unshakable faith. This was no monster. This was no enemy. This was his friend. And together they had only begun their story. But far away, in the darkness beyond the forest, other lights began to glow. More hunters, stronger enemies, and perhaps even greater dangers waiting among the stars. The boy wiped his tears and looked up at Kale. Whatever comes, we'll face it. Together. The dragon's golden eyes shone in the dark. And for the first time in years, Kale almost smiled. The night was not over. The war was not over. It was only the beginning. What will happen when more hunters arrive? Can a boy and a broken dragon survive against the universe? Is this the start of a legend? Find out in the next story. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next HFY sci-fi adventure.